This Hour Has 22 Minutes is a satirical examination of daily events. Some viewers may not share this sense of humor.
Primetime news, on the other hand, is not actually meant to be funny.
Good evening. The Premier of Quebec came under heavy fire last week after he revealed the plan to lead his province to independence. Critics called Jacques Parizeau's proposal a scam, a trick, and a slippery bit of business. While most Quebecers tried to figure out if the plan left them with any real options, others wondered who dreamt up the elaborate scheme. In an attempt to quell the controversy, reporters were invited to tour the PQ back room where the sovereignist agenda was hatched. They met Quebec's land claims negotiator, the province's most outspoken advocate for the yes side, and the lawyer who came up with the actual wording on the ballot. Meanwhile, Federalists are coming up with a plan of their own. The crack team of strategists includes a jackal, a porcupine, and, of course, a weasel.
The ever-popular Travelling Parliamentary Committee on Social Reform Roadshow rolled into Montreal last week. The committee is seeking input from ordinary Canadians into the huge $9 billion budget cuts the Liberals plan to make in the social safety net.
Hysterically happy, ecstatic, pro-budget slashing Montreal citizens showed they were solidly behind the government's proposals to reduce the deficit on the backs of the poor. And when they ran out of roses to throw, they showed their love and appreciation in the only way left open to them. They tossed simple hotel furniture.
The committee plans a return trip to Montreal, a spokesperson said, at such time when, quote, the countless fires in hell are extinguished, or Jacques Parizeau sings I Gotta Be Me, in English, in the Quebec Assembly, wearing only a Canadian maple leaf.
A Calgary-based company which believes there is oil under Windsor Castle in England has acquired the mineral rights for the property and has started drilling. The company has set up shop 500 meters away from the castle and is drilling sideways into the oil reserves located directly below the Queen's bedroom. A company spokesman says concerns that the residual smoke and ash exhaust may have a negative effect on tourism are ridiculous and highly exaggerated. A spokesperson also said that environmental warnings that the tunnels could cause the castle and its inhabitants to crumble into a dark black hole never to be seen again are not considered a concern but an added bonus.
Last week, the House of Commons Finance Committee handed down their recommendations on ways to cut spending in the next federal budget. Prime Minister Chrétien was quick to endorse the cost cutting. Coming back from Europe, Chrétien refused the more expensive first class in favor of traveling cargo class. The Prime Minister and his wife, Aileen, are expected to parachute into Ottawa from the three-day Conference of the Americas in Miami any minute.
Defense Minister David Collinette says he has no choice but to make drastic cuts to Canada's military. However, a Canadian businessman has stepped forward and said there is another way. We now join Sam the Stereo Scam Man in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Frank. Damn glad to be here. Now, we're spending too much money on too little firepower, Frank.
Solution?
One word, Frank, smart bombs.
That's two.
No, smart bombs is a hyphenated word, Frank.
Why should Canada buy smart bombs?
Well, you see, they're cheap, they're deadly, and there's a post-Cold War glut of the suckers. Now, I'm offering no down payment, no payment till 1995, and I'm going to throw in a Sanyo 16-disc CD player to boot.
Well, there's Christmas taken care of. What about smart bombs? What are they?
Well, you know, that's the great thing, Frank. They're bombs and they're smart. Get it? They're $900 a pop and they got a grade 10 education.
Now, why would a man who sells stereos for a living want to sell weapons?
Well, you see, there's the thing. The big players are underpricing the little guys. They're driving us out of the business, Frank. Smart bombs are my last chance.
Okay, you say they're smart. How do they work?
Well, you just punch in the coordinates here of someone you hate, say, I don't know, like, say, the stereo barn in at the Eaton Center there. You hit this button and watch this this monitor. Presto.
Is that a live bomb?
No, sir, this one's a floor model. Look at that. See, that one was a dud.
Well, I assume Defense Minister Collinette knows where to reach you.
Oh, yeah, I imagine so, because there seems to be an Army SWAT team pulling up there in the parking lot as we speak.
Well, that is good news. Thank God we still have a military.
Okay.
Good night.
Okay, good night, Frank.
And now here are the hockey scores from the NHL. 0.
This hour
Be driving down the road. Consider it mentally.
Sure we will.
has 22 minutes.
Again and again and again.
Monday on CBC.
Canadian banks will show a record $4 billion profit this year. This hour has learned that those same banks have now joined forces and produced a video to be screened by frontline employees. This hour's investigative unit has acquired a copy.
The Association of Canadian Banks presents massive banking profits and how to deal with them.
Well, we've made over $4 billion. This is a good thing. However, the Globe and Mail has seen fit to put it on their front page. That is a bad thing. Some customers, especially the poor ones, may find our profit margin hard to stomach. Well, we can't help that. However, if a customer complains, tell them,
Oh, sure. But that's not real money.
some of the slower customers will accept this. If not, try.
$4 billion is not a lot of money by global standards.
Then point to the bins where customers drop off tins of food for the homeless. Tell them.
These bins cost money, you know.
Then point to the artificial tree or the plastic poinsettia. Ask them.
Who do you think pays for all of this?
And then tell them that the bank does. The same bank that makes sure the sidewalks are shoveled in the winter so the customers don't slip on the ice. The same bank that Todd Smith came to when he wanted to build a rumpus room for his wife and his 2 beautiful children. We're the banks. And because we're the banks, we deserve every bloody cent.
The Ontario government just launched a $400,000 ad campaign against wife abuse. The same week, it also turned down a grant to a women's shelter. Since there will be no facility to seek refuge in the face of violence in the home, representatives from the government suggest hiding behind the television while the ads are on, so out-of-control spouses will become confused by the image and retreat.
In the United States, powerful Republican Speaker-elect Newt Gingrich had a busy week. While taking a break from calling for the dismantling of the public broadcast system, the termination of welfare benefits for single mothers, and Social Security benefits for the elderly, Gingrich claimed that up to 25% of the White House staff were communists. Whoops. I mean, Mr. Gingrich claimed that up to 25% of the White House staff were drug users. That was Joe McCarthy who said the White House staff were communists, and that was over 40 years ago. As a matter of fact, that was the last time that the Republicans dominated the American Congress. Gosh, it's easy to get those fat-faced demagogues confused, isn't it?
In 1974, it was free sex. In 1984, it was safe sex. In 1994, it's mean sex. S&M is everywhere, in movies, in fashion, and in the bedroom next door. We are joined now by Mistress Candida. I assume that's not your real name.
Well, it is my real dominatrix name.
I hope you don't take offense, but you just don't look like a dominatrix to me.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm a computer programmer by day, a leather-clad dominatrix by night. As a woman, I kind of have a tendency to defer to people, but as Mistress Candida, with my willy wand, well, I don't have to, do I?
So, you see this as a positive thing?
Oh, yeah. It's like a journey, an inner conquest, sort of like Outward Bound.
How did you get started in this lifestyle?
First, I went to a workshop that I read about in Good Housekeeping. And for someone like myself, it's great. Where I work in the office all day long, being Miss Step and Fetch It for Norm, he's the assistant department head. Well, it's just great for me to be able to walk into a room and have some naked guy crouching on the floor, begging to lick my boots.
But surely this can't be good for you.
Oh, yes. It's not even considered a mental health problem anymore. We're just exploring dimensions of our humanity. And it's not all just spiritual either. You don't just stand there and hold the whip, you know. It takes a lot out of you. And Frank, the scene is great for guys, too. Because, you know, for every woman out there who's burned her bra, there's all those guys just longing to wear one. And not to mention all those guys who are dying to get into a corset, a garter belt, whatever. And not just judges either. You'll be surprised.
I assure you, Mistress Candida, I am. Well, we've run out of time.
I think I'll give the orders, Frank. Say good night, Vern, or you'll be punished.
Good night, Worm.
Say it again.
A manuscript by composer Robert Schumann was auctioned at Sotheby's auction house last week. The handwritten composition of Schumann sold for nearly $2.3 million. Also on the auction block, the sheet music for another famous composition, this one Canadian. It was the theme from Peter Zosky's Morningside. That was first played on air in September of 1977 and every weekday morning ever since. There was no opening bid set for the item. Instead, auctioneers were just hoping that someone would take the music and put it out of its misery.
A philosophy professor in Nova Scotia has a proposal for a stripped-down, low-cost university which he calls No Frills U. We speak now to one of the co-founders of the school, a professor...
Rico, just Rico.
I see. Rico, you've been employed and, I guess, let go from universities all across this country. What is your area of expertise?
Well, philosophy and a touch of genetics, and, well, law. Well, most of the boys who teaches there has first-hand experience with the law per se, plus, well, so, you know,
Will science or arts degrees be offered?
Yeah, well, science is kind of dodgy because our lab is mostly little scientist kits that the boys got for Christmas when they were younger. Yeah, but we'll teach a little bit of everything, right? A real rounded education. Like, if you're not interested, you can get rounded.
What exactly does the no frills part mean, then?
Yeah, right. Well, in the cafeteria, well, it's not really a cafeteria, right? A guy goes around with a shopping cart with sandwiches in it. And, okay, here's the no frills part. Some of the sandwiches have bread, no filling, and some has fillings, no bread. Get it? Plus, there's no building, so, well, that's no frills.
No buildings, then what's the difference between people just walking around, reading, and talking about things in this world and what you're calling a university?
Salient point, JB, very germane. I guess I'm like Plato like that, right? Plato just had a few of the boys over in the backyard and called that a university, right?
Yes, but Mr. Rico, in the real world, what you're describing would not actually constitute an actual university.
Oh, yeah, it is. We got a motto and everything. Look, what you don't know can hurt you.
Well, thank you and good luck.
You know what they say, Rolling Stone gathers no moss.
Okay, thank you.
Man who rides tiger is afraid to dismount, right?
Okay, all right.
I'll catch a gray in the dark.
The interview's over now.
Stitching time safe now.
Good night.
One of the biggest booze and cigarette smuggling rings in Canada was shut down by Ontario police last week. 150 cases of cigarettes and 35,000 cases of liquor were seized in the operation. The enormous amount of American booze cannot be sold here, nor can it be poured down any Ontario drain because of that province's anti-pollution laws. In a related story, police stations across central Canada are abuzz with rumors of the approaching mother of all Christmas parties.
This hour has 22 minutes is proud to present media pundits Stuart Steed and Steve Steele with The Right Answer. Men, we salute you.
Okay, let's start it all off with the Royal Bank makes a profit of over $1 billion in 1994.
Holy doodle, that's a pile of cash. Don't let Bob Ray get a hold of it. He'll want to invest it all into daycare. Thousands of women plan to hold a 10-day march against poverty.
Oh, way to go, sisters. That'll do the trick. Why not open a kissing booth instead?
Now, they could stay at home and give all that babysitting money to the hungry,
But no!
they want to go for walkies. Gainers, the meatpacking giant, docks employees who use the washroom.
Good. What? The wheels of progress should grind to a halt because Morty the meatpacker has to do his number one? I don't think so. Newt Gingrich wants to take babies from single mothers and put them in orphanages.
Newt, please, let's not be rash. Who's going to pay for these swanky new orphanages?
The taxpayers.
How about we bring back old-fashioned sweatshops? Little hands can make little ornaments that bring in big Christmas dollars. The federal government launches program to encourage prisoners to quit smoking.
Why? So they can serve longer life sentences? What about those precious sin taxes? I say, crack off those filters, light up those butts, and you pay your own way, ladies. CRTC bans the term Merry Christmas on TV because it excludes non-Christians.
Oh, sure, but Satan worship on Much Music is fine. Keith Spicer, meet you at the gates of hell. And that's the right answer.
Has a big new picture book out just in time for Christmas. Entitled Winter, it's a lively coffee table tome featuring color pictures of classic winter scenery such as the Quebec Winter Carnival, ice skaters on the Rideau Canal, and snowmen with scarves. Burton's next book will be called Dump, and it will feature classic images of Canadian waste disposal such as recycling plants, garbage collection, and copies of Burton's previous book, Winter, being buried in a landfill.
And now it's time to join Sandy Campbell with this week's edition of the Campbell File.
Hi, I'm Sandy Campbell. You've heard of gonzo journalism. Well, this is bonsai journalism. Small news stories for small, half-interested people. And I'll tell you what's crazy. Heidi Fleiss is going down, but this time she's not making any money for it. She said she could go to jail for 3 years just because people like sex. Well, if that's the case, wouldn't the cast of Melrose Place and My Sister Cindy be doing hard time at Leavenworth? Michael Douglas says the casting couch is still alive and kicking. Of course, he's in a movie trying to sue a woman for sexual harassment. That's a stretch. Who'd want to bake his potato? Can you believe the crazy defenses people are coming up with in court? Hey, I was sleepwalking. I didn't mean to stab her repeatedly. What's next? The bad mood defense? The traffic was terrible defense? The she ate the last cookie, what could I do, Your Honor defense? That singer from Blind Melon got an absolute discharge for urinating on some of his fans in Vancouver. Well, didn't he already have an absolute discharge right there? Who raised him? And what about that poor puppy dog coming through customs with all that cocaine in his stomach? What makes a good dog go bad? Customs officials were tipped off because he was just so damn chatty. Columbia this, Columbia that, blah, blah, blah. Sweating like a pig, poor pooch. Some study came out a few weeks ago that says 3 drinks a day can make you live longer. At this rate, hubby should outlive Macaulay Culkin. He found out the other day that there might be a link between smoking and impotence. Last night he almost OD'd on Nicorettes. I'm Sandy Campbell, and this has been the Campbell File.
A professor in China says that the game of golf did not originate in Scotland, as is commonly believed, but was developed in China during the Song dynasty. He also claims that the Chinese are responsible for inventing the McTavish tartan, kidney pie, and the big guy at the bar wearing a kilt with arms as big as legs. And he added that although the Chinese did not invent the bagpipe, they were fond of using it in police interrogations.
And now it's time to check in with JB in this week's travel advisory.
And now a travel advisory to the tax-paying public. That would be you. Political trough travel is way up, and it's very early in the Liberal mandate. Prime Minister Jean Chrétien, he had an incredibly busy week this week. Starting in Ottawa, he flew to Paris, bopped over to Budapest, then came back, made a quick stop in St. John's, Newfoundland, where the temperature was -10. He couldn't handle it, so he went directly to sunny Miami, where it was a balmy 80 degrees. Good work, Jean. Meanwhile, Liberal MP John Nunziata, NDPer Nelson Rees, and 10 other members of Parliament flew first class to, you're not going to believe this, Taiwan for a week. The 12 MPs were there to watch, quote, the birth of democracy. 2 mayors were elected. Well, the MPs were elated, and a lot of the MPs' children will be getting chattering teeth in their stockings this Christmas. Now, not to be left out, Public Works Minister Dave Dingwall and an aide immediately hopped a plane and flew to Australia to study housing. Turns out, yes, they have houses there. Then, after a quick 2-day stopover in London, England to see some shows, Dave just came on home. No word yet why Dingwall just didn't go to the library and get a book about houses like everyone else. Meanwhile, Solicitor General Herb Gray jetted off to an incredibly important conference on organized crime in, boom, Naples, Italy. After a quick getting to know your mafia session and a couple of cappuccinos, Herb called the trip a success, had a quick visit with the Queen of England, and then came on home. Well, that's just a few of the trips that we paid for in the last little while. Next week, Club Med, Party Palace, or the prime location for a Liberal think tank. Back to you, 22.
Well, that's the way we saw the world this week. For all of us here at This Hour Has 22 Minutes, I'm Molly Maguire saying, before we go, take a look at this. Wow, look at those lights. Well, at least there are some bright lights on Parliament Hill. Good night. I know what they're up to. It's like when the wife left. She had no reason to go, but she wanted out, so she announced she was leaving. But she stuck around for a while after the announcement. She was trying to drive me, see? Trying to get me to do something to give her the excuse to go. But I wouldn't. And that's just what we gotta do now with Quebec. We gotta shut up about it. We can't go saying, you're leaving? You're taking nothing with you but the clothes on your back. We can't go threatening to go in and tear down brick by brick every single building that got even a cent of federal government money in it. We can't go saying we're going in with the jackhammers and the bulldozers and we're going to rip up the Trans-Canada Highway and throw it in the middle of an Olympic stadium. We can't go letting them know that they got to us. We can't go letting on that they're not wanting us, is cutting us to the quick. That they're breaking our hearts in about 10,000 pieces. We can't go letting them know we cares. They wants to go. That's it. We gotta just sit here and take it like a man.